Volume 13 Chapter 10 Facing Forward Part 1 A certain tavern. 4 people were sitting at a table. Amongst the hustling and bustling inside the bar, only that place was gloomy. All 4 of them had a dark expression. So Paul died, huh? A woman with luxurious blonde hair and long ears. Elise was whispering to herself. Yeah, he died. A man from the magic race that had the face of a monkey. Gisu said that as he looked at the mug he was holding. He died protecting his son. That's his true wish. A male dwarf that had a burly beard. Talhand replied without care. However, he had no tension in his voice. Even though he drank enough of his favorite drink to become wasted, there was no signs of him being drunk. With Zenith like this too, Paul wouldn't have been cheerful. At Gisu's words, Talhand went silent and focused on his drink. Zenith had become a cripple, to which they had received quite a shock. As people that knew Zenith to be someone bright and lively, the shock was even bigger to them. Nevertheless, they were adventurers. They were familiar with death. Even if Zenith had died, they would have tolerated and accepted that fact. Well, she survived. Perhaps there may be a chance to heal her. Talhand said that without any sense of confidence. There have sometimes been tales of someone becoming a cripple due to a monster's poison. However, there were no tales about them being healed. If the neck was cut off, or if the head was smashed. Even God-class healing magic would not be able to heal that. Even if she can walk or talk, her memories won't return. Elise said that as if giving up on that idea. What, Elise? It seems you know a lot about this. That's just the way it is. Elise didn't explain it in detail. She has lived much longer than Talhand or Gisu. She said that as if she had seen cases similar to this one. That's why she knows. However, as if to feel that some form of hope wasn't gone, Talhand did not press any further. So, the problem now, is that son of his. Talhand spoke. Yeah, hearing that, his voice went up with a sigh. Rudeus Greyrit. Paul's son, although it has been close to a week, had not stepped out of his room. That guy, he's got no energy and doesn't want to do anything. It's like he's a cripple himself. Elise and Gisu said in agreement. Rudeus had become a shell of his former self. Even when calling out to him, he did not answer. With hollow eyes, he said, oh, and merely nodded. Rudy was quite attached to Paul. The girl from the magic race with blue hair. Roxy Migardia, who had been silent up to now, whispered softly. What she saw in her mind was a very young Rudeus who was learning swordsmanship from Paul. Rudeus continued to swing his sword with a disappointed face no matter how many times Paul beat him down. It was a boy that had a bundle of talent. For someone that hadn't spent such time with that family, it was a dazzling scenery that would make anyone feel envious. Well, I can understand Senpai's feelings, but it'll be bad at this rate. That's right. Rudeus has not taken a single bite since that day. Even though he was encouraged to eat, he nodded with an, oh, and didn't eat at all. At the minimum, though he was drinking water, it was clear as day he was becoming increasingly haggard. His eyes were sunk, his cheeks hollowed, one would think that he looked like death. If he was left alone like this, he'll really die. Everybody here thought that. We must cheer him up again somehow. At Roxy's words, Gisu glanced at Elise. Hey you, don't you do that all the time in times like these? I can't do that. Elise replied immediately. The one who didn't understand that was Roxy. What can't be done? Gisu and Talhand looked at each other, then shut themselves up. Roxy knit her eyebrows in puzzlement. Elise, do you have some kind of plan? I do not. Elise answered that like she wanted to get something over with. Well, anyway. Gisu was scratching his cheek. Talhand was drinking his beer like it was something interesting. Well, anyway, in times like this, it's best to forget by going all out to play. Play? Men are self-interested creatures. By drinking beer, sleeping with girls, and feeling good, they immediately feel the joy of living, and would feel better again. I see. Even Roxy can understand what was being said. She could understand what Elise, who was attracted to men, would do. I see. Emmy, men are like that. I see. Roxy was looking down with a red face. When a man feels down, he makes love to a woman. It feels like she had heard something like this before. Especially for mercenaries, before and after the battle, would buy a girl to distract their fears. There were even many adventurers who would head to brothels immediately after a near-death experience on a quest. However, thinking of Rudeus and Elise getting together, Roxy was left with depression in her heart. Elise, didn't you say this in the past? That you were good at comforting heartbroken men? I did say that. Roxy was thinking. Certainly, Elise was good at that. She has numerous relationships with men on a routine basis, and I've heard that she has also quite the technique. With someone as experienced as her, it was possible to make Rudeus get back on his feet. Though it was mortifying, it's something that can't be helped. That's rare. If it was the regular you wouldn't have left Senpai alone right now. She couldn't bear looking at Rudeus right now. Even Elise wanted to help and comfort him. However, she understood. If she used Rudeus's grief as a reason to make love to him here, what will they do when they return? Betraying Cliff, betraying Sylphie. Rudeus would not take that calmly. Even I have partners that I can't do. Why is it that you can't do it with Rudy? Roxy glares at Elise, even though Rudy is suffering so much. Well, Elise started to speak, then realized that Roxy didn't know, because Rudeus's wife is my granddaughter. Roxy lost her grip on her mug. The mug fell on the table with a clank. While spilling its contents, the mug rolled on the table, fell on the ground, and made a dry sound. Rudy, is he married? Yeah, he's married. He's about to have a child. I see, well it's obvious isn't it, Rudy being of age and all. Roxy was unable to hide her trembling, and picked up the mug on the floor. Then, wanting to drink what's inside, she realized it spilled, then ordered another one. Please give me the strongest one in the house. Roxy folded her arms with her eyes spinning. Marriage. Of course Rudeus would get married, yeah, it's something normal. Yeah, she kept talking to herself like that. Then, remembering her own actions in the labyrinth, she grit her teeth. She thought that Rudy was free and took the initiative. She had wanted to make a good impression, but she was not treated as an obstacle because she was merely an acquaintance in the end. It must have been laughable and ridiculous, being right beside him. She wanted to scream, why didn't anybody tell me this? But she kept the complaint to the back of her throat. Right now she wasn't worrying about herself. But even though he's married, this is an emergency, surely even once would be fine? Roxy did not even understand what she herself was saying. Just that she felt that she wanted Rudeus to get better again. Maybe that is so, but I cannot do it. Elise said that with some frustration. Even seeing her frustrated face, Roxy could not understand her feelings. Here you go. Thanks. There was the drink that she had ordered. Roxy stirred the mug, then drank it all in one go. A burning sensation spread in her bone-dried throat. It was frighteningly tasty, showing that the body really wanted that alcohol. Besides, for me to Rudeus, Elise closed her mouth there. Well, even if I can't do it, wouldn't it be fine if Gisu brings him to a brothel around here? I wonder. Making love to someone he doesn't know, I doubt Rudeus would get better with that. Well, what that child really needs is someone reliable to lean on. Then, Lilia? Like I said, yeah, I get it, don't be so angry. Elise's heart was complex. She doesn't want to interfere with Sylphie's marriage. However, she wants to help Rudeus. If she makes love to Rudeus, she may be able to cheer him up again. She was confident in that. However, she felt certain that is a mistake, and that it would be something that cannot be undone. If it was the usual, she would play the part of the villain. Up till now, she had done so many times. However, when she felt that she did not want to betray Cliff here, she could no longer do it. Then, silence followed. Only the quiet sound of drinking continued. There was nobody that called out to this uneven group of four. Only over there was it as quiet as the night. In any case, Zenith had become like that. I want Senpei to hurry and get back on his feet, then we can say goodbye to this town. With Gisu's words, the remaining three sighed. You're right. They were all tired. It's been 6 years, 6 long years. Since the teleportation incident, 6 years have passed. It was definitely not a short period of time. Heading from the central continent towards the magic continent, then crossing from the magic continent to the Begarido continent. And, finally, searching in the teleportation labyrinth. There were tough and painful times, however, all of it was something one could look back and laugh at. Certainly, the teleportation incident was an unfortunate event. But for them, it wasn't full of just misfortune. The party that had split up gathered up little by little. Elise and Talhand partied up once again. Gisu moved for the sake of Paul. Paul and Talhand got along again. And, ultimately, Paul and Elise fought side by side once more. Thinking that these things would never happen again, with Paul as their center, they got together again. After rescuing Zenith, they would locate Ghislaine, and everybody would drink together. That is what everybody had thought. However, Paul died. With just that, they felt a sense of weariness that can't be described. Like anything and everything had been ruined, even though they spent so much time building up to that. The sense of weariness in that all had been trampled in the very end. It wasn't just Rudeus who had become lethargic. Well, he's Rudeus, the son of Paul and Zenith. He may be depressed right now, but he'll eventually come around on his own. I hope you're right. At Talhand's words, two people nodded vaguely. They knew Rudeus's weakness. Nevertheless, he's already 16, no longer a child. Even though it has been painful, his heart is that of a splendid adult. Death visits everybody, and it is something adventurers are familiar with. Parents will someday die. Anybody will overcome that. That's why, even Rudeus will eventually do so too. The only person that wasn't nodding was Roxy. She had remembered. What happened a long time ago? Part 2, Rudeus's Pov. When I looked out the window, it was evening. I sat on the bed absent-mindedly. How many days have passed since then, it doesn't really matter. No matter how many days it has been. Less than knock, knock greater than. Suddenly, there was a knock on the doorway. Rudy, may I? Looking up, Roxy was standing there. Guess I left the door open. Sensei. It felt like it's been forever since I spoke. Though my voice was so hoarse that I didn't know if Roxy heard it or not. Roxy walked briskly towards me. It felt strange. I wonder why. Ah, I see, she doesn't have her robe on today. She was wearing a very thin top and bottom clothing. How unusual. Excuse me. Saying that with a firm tone, Roxy sat next to me.